BK, big business, we linked up in the UK with them outlaws, no limit forever, and we mash hard, and we stay out the cheddar.
Hey yo, you already know what time it is. This your boy M. Nell, Merciless, the one and only. You know I'm always tuned in, every day, all day. You already know who I'm rocking with, that ain't a question or a doubt. I'm rocking with my fucking boy, live from the UK, Fonzie Neutron, huh? Right.
I know a lot's going down. Obviously, we heard the sad news in regards to Laylaw. You know, you actually, let us know some of the stuff what was going on. So we thought it'd be quite fitting to tap in with you. Just get some of your experience of the big homie and just, how he impacted your career as well as many other in the West Coast.
Well, today is a sad day, man. I had heard that Law had been sick, but he's like indestructible to us. You know what I'm saying? The range of a person's of the things that they've done in this world. You know what I'm saying? It's like Law's still young. You know what I mean? It's not like he was an old fogey or some old motherfucker. Like Law was still young. You know what I'm saying? So to accomplish all these type of things in that short amount of time, Above the Law, n.w.a, and so on. Like, I've seen pictures of with him with A$AP Rocky and, all the East Coast artists too. Not, he wasn't just a figure from the West, even though he was a pillar of the West, but, Law reached a lot of different people, man, from all walks of life, from comedians to singers to actors to, Mike Epps, Tiffany Haddish, a lot of people, man. I can't even, begin to name Bill Duke and, stuff like that. It's funny because like I was saying, earlier, that I met Law. How I met Law, I wasn't supposed to meet Law how I met him, but I did. In South Central Los Angeles, his brother Amp had a cleaners, and so I was mad at my mom and shit. I used to go through it with my, a lot of family things or whatever, and so we stayed on 66 in Figueroa. For all my South Central people out there, I give a shout out. And so I used to walk from 66 in Figueroa to 94th and Main. It's a lot of dangerous hoods in between time, between that time. So I'm bailing up Broadway. And so this man stops me. Hey man, you look like you listen to rap. What's your top 3 groups? So he asked me this, and so I was like Nas, Tribe Called Quest, and Wu-Tang. He was looking like, damn, it ain't not one West Coast group. You can't say one West Coast group. You don't know no groups. Toddy T's, the Mixmaster Spades, n.w.a, and all that shit. And I was like, yeah, they cool. They cool and all that. You know what I'm saying? But I was on that. He's like, what's your name? I'm like, I'm Floss Mode. You know what I'm saying? And so not knowing that this man, my cousin was Eazy-E's personal bodyguard, through n.w.a and shit. And so I'm not knowing that he knew my cousin, Big Ron Scoggins. And so not even knowing that he was, affiliated with Another Level and, my other partner, shout out to Another Level, Bambino, my partner. And then, he didn't know that, I didn't know that he was affiliated with none of these people. So make a long story longer, I went to the studio with Bambino and them. We was in the studio on the outro track of Another Level's album. And so I started rhyming, you know what I mean? And so Law was like, who is that? And come to find out, he was like, that's the same dude I met. He had told me to meet him over there at Don Jaguar's wiener shop. Don Jaguar didn't even have a shop yet. He's had a cart. You know what I'm saying? That's how long ago this was. And, I was freshly 17, 18 years old. And so I didn't know that from that point on that I was signed to Law and would be on this monumental album called The Lawhouse Experience. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to believe that he's gone. I smoked a lot with Law. He taught me a lot. He was stern. He was strict. He could be an ass when he wanted to be. But in all, he was a good person.
No doubt, man. I mean, you mentioned the Lawhouse Experience album. I mean, even just looking at it, it's definitely a legendary album where I feel it's kind of slept on as a hip hop kind of compilation classic, especially with a lot of West Coast artists. Kind of a who's who of who's under, So, I mean, how did that kind of come together? And what was the selection process like for you to be even selected to be on that project and stuff?
Um, I talked to Yuckmouth last night. You know what I'm saying, on a late one. Shout out to Yuckmouth and Smoke a Lot podcast. And I had brought something to his attention that he forgot about. Even he forgot about. Law, man. Law was a person, man. He smoked big ganja, big weed, big weed. He was the first person I seen to have to take a coffee grinder. You know what I'm saying? And put the weed in there and hit that shit 2 or 3 times. And because you touch your weed, you lose the potency of it. Having me and Money B go to the store, you know what I'm saying, to go make Hurricane. Being at the studio with him and D-Mac and Big Stretch from Live Squad, that was with Pop, you know what I'm saying? Being in the studio with them and having, a lot of people didn't even know off of 59th Place in Buckler that all these rap stars were all on this one street from us to Himalayas to Another Level, Mac 10, Tupac, and the list goes on. What I will say is Law gave a nigga a chance. You know what I'm saying? Law gave a young Thundercat a chance. And from there, my career started and went around from, they were all N.w.a and Eazy-E and Above the Law affiliates. The circle that I ran through, because from me leaving Law, then I formed the Himalayas. You know what I'm saying? Then after that, I got with Rhythm D. That was Eazy-E producer that did Compton City G's. You know what I'm saying? That's how I was able to get on the Eazy-E record, Impact of a Legend. All this has started from Laylaw. All this has started from Laylaw, man. He was the key. He was the factor of this shit. He was the go-to man. If you listen to Dr. Dre and all of them, when he left Ruthless Records, the two people that he went to first when he was considering the next move that he was about to do was Suge Knight and Laylaw. You know what I'm saying? I'm just still devastated, man. I know everybody got to go. Everybody' life is, is for certain that you're gonna see death. But to see N.w.a, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, MC Ren, Yella, all of them, they all sit down and created something that took over the world. And from all of that, it branched a lot of different people's careers. You know what I'm saying? So I'm 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 devastated. But I'm in disbelief. But at the same time, I'm gonna celebrate. Did nobody take Law from here? Nobody take Law from this earth. You know what I'm saying? From violence or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? He did his purpose. He served his purpose on life. You know what I'm saying? Now he went over to the next one. You know what I mean? So, rest in peace to my brother, man.
Yeah, no, that's real, man. His legacy definitely strong and gonna live on. We've seen, an abundance of people chiming in with their tributes and memories and stuff like that. Speaking of memories, one of the things you spoke about, and I believe you and Yuck may have spoke on it, or I heard Yuck mention it on his show too, was the house that Ice Cube had and Today Was a Good Day. And they say it was actually Laylaw's, that was actually Laylaw's house.
It was actually Laylaw's house. Cube lived there. You know what I'm saying? That was really his house in Baldwin Hills. That's one thing about Cube. I tip my hat off to him because he was, he kept it real. He didn't move. I'm sure he lives somewhere else now. But Ben lives somewhere else. But I'm saying that house at that time is like the Black Beverly Hills, Windsor Hills, Baldwin Hills. The whole LA shit. And so, Cube was living there, but he was saying that people was coming to the house at 2 or 3 in the morning. This is what Law told me. You know what I'm saying? He was like, people was coming to the house 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and throwing rocks at the house to see if he was going to come out and shit. You know what I mean? And so basically Law bought that house and took over that house. And so it made it the Lawhouse, basically. And the parties, man, the fucking parties. that we used to have, and drinking a hurricane and the marijuana smoke, and the baddest bitches, and man, it was like an extension of Eazy-E and Dr. Dre and them's parties, the parties they used to have back in the days that I was too young to go to. You know, basically Law was an extension of that, and so we would be there at that house, and everybody would come there, and we would stay there. We would also stay there at the house and record. He had like a sub studio in the back, all the way down. You have to go down these steep ass stairs and shit in the backyard. And so when you go way down these stairs, that's where the studio was at, and we recorded a lot of shit there. And like I said, Law chose me to be on this album. Yeah, Floss. We recorded at Echo Sound Studio where Pac did Me Against the World out there in Los Feliz out there in Hollywood. And so I remember he was telling me, Floss, you got to say something that people gonna know your name. People gonna know your name, Floss. You got to say something that people gonna know who the fuck you are. And so I came with Floss Mode, and he paid me. He paid me and took me up under his wing like a brother father figure. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just gracious and blessed and feel just majorly blessed to be on this record with all of the greats. You got to realize all these niggas was big. All these niggas was big before me. All of them. They all had big records and it was established and all that type of shit. I was the only new person on this record. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I looked at it as bigger. You know what I mean? Because he thought a lot about me to put me on that record. I must have been spitting. And if you go back and listen to it, I was,
Yeah, no, definitely, man. As you said, we think, you have Raz Kaz on the album, Exhibit, Coolio, Cocaine, Dub C, Ice Cube, Ice T, Caution, Drew Down, Lunas, Above the Law, 8 Ball,
and Eight
K-Dee.
Ball and MJG
Yeah,
too.
I was just gonna say 8 Ball, The Far Side, you know, quite an array, and he produced all the tracks, so him and D-Mac.
Yep. Big up to Derek McDowell, my nigga D-Mac. Um, they was a dynamic team. You know what I'm saying? Law had the Law had the clout. He knew everybody. D-Mac was out there producing his ass off. D-Mac produced Tud Alpha Q. D produced a lot of things for I think Mac 10 and a bunch of people. Dub C. He produced that whole record. And so shout out to D Mac. And like I said, they took a young Thundercat up under under their wing, and they didn't have to do that. There was a lot of rappers that was rapping at the time, and niggas wanted to they was definitely at D Mac and Laylaw, but now, not only was I on the album, but he himself signed me. You know what I'm saying? And so, I feel gracious about that. That says something, in this industry. So, hopefully we can get together. This is what I really want to happen is that all the artists from the Lawhouse record, Lawhouse experience, we all get together. Somebody put something together so we can go perform these songs. You know what I'm saying? And, at the time when the album came out, social media was nowhere around. Social media was nowhere around. It was just coming. It was man. It was we was in the studio long before social media. So now that it's out, all the social media and the streaming and all that type of things, we need to go do something with this record and redo it and put it out and perform. We never got a chance to perform this record, so none of these songs. So I think that's what we did. They was hating on us at the time. It was real bias at the time when the Lawhouse experience came out. The game is different now, so I feel like we should put that shit out and do that.
Yeah, I'd agree, especially for fans of like West Coast hip hop. It definitely got that gangster rap classic edge and sound to it. I believe the source said, and they were being biased. They were being New York biased back in 1997, and the body of work that is the album is better than. I believe they gave it like 2.5 mics at the time, but they probably most likely didn't even listen to it accordingly. Even just from the who's who of the tracks there and 18 tracks all originally produced, would definitely encourage like your hip hop listeners and the West Coast listeners, if you haven't heard it, to check it out. And even if you heard it back in the day, it's definitely one to pull back up, and especially at this time and stuff. You know what I mean? Is there a reason why the second one didn't come together? Or was it ever pitched?
Man, it was remarkable that he even got all those artists together all at one time with all their schedules and motherfuckers on tour and doing all these type of things. You know, it was remarkable for him to even do that. So, you know, I'm sure the second part of it was hard, you know, to even do it again. Fuck it, I say we should just in Law's memory that we should all do do the Lawhouse experience too over, and we all submit new songs and you know and have a tour and really make it a movement about Laylaw instead of a moment. You know what I'm saying? Word up.
And I think that would be dope. You know, I mean, I think just that's what something that came to mind. Just obviously for people who are around at the minute, who could get together. Obviously, God bless the dead Coolio has passed, and I'd
Yep.
have to go back through the full list of the album and see if anybody else. But from to my knowledge, I think everybody else is still around and still pushing the line and stuff like that. And it could be something good for the legacy, but ultimately, he definitely gonna be remembered. As you said, you can see just the abundance of respect that people had for him. You know, we think of like, you know, Tupac's and, the Dre's and the Cocaine's, the Above the Laws and all these guys. But as you said, he was like an OG to a lot of these guys who, a lot of fans look up to these guys as OGs. So he was definitely, a key and significant figure. And you can see that from the respect and the salutations that he's getting now.
Yeah, like cause at the time, Pac, you know, shit, Tupac didn't listen to nobody. Tupac he respected people and shit, but Tupac didn't listen to nobody. He did what the fuck he wanted to do, said what he wanted to say. But one thing he did when we got around Law, is that Law had this aura. Law had this aura about it, like you know what I'm saying. Like he was real sarcastic. He was hella funny. Hella funny. That nigga Law was hella funny. And he was sarcastic. But he had this side of him that you don't want to cross him and you ain't gonna get too out of pocket. You know, niggas will fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? You gotta realize these are still ex-bodyguards and shit. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? These they tossed Fresh Prince and niggas and shit, you know what I'm saying, for breakfast. Him, the Samoan twins, my cousin Big Ron, Andre, Augustine, you know what I'm saying? They had a bunch of bodyguard ass niggas, Big Animal, and all of them. They was out there eating niggas alive and tossing niggas to the lions. But Law, as far as what he was smart as far as like getting in the studio, and he was a writer, and he wrote a lot of shit for Michelet and a lot of different R&B shit. That's what I'm saying. People they're out, their exterior on the outside may be tough and hard, and they shit may be hard on the inside too. But people have a lot of different sides of them to sit up and write R&B and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So I already knew all this stuff about Law because we used to sit up a lot of nights and talk, and he would tell me a lot. Floss, I want you to be the West Coast Nas, and we would sit up in that jacuzzi and smoke all that goddamn weed. That nigga Law smoked that goddamn weed. You know what I'm saying? But that's the times I'ma miss a dude. And big up to that nigga Gomac too, from the Brother Law, his brother. You know what I'm saying? Me and Go used to sit up in the studio many a fucking day. You know what I'm saying? And smoke all that goddamn weed. Still smoking that weed. You know what I mean? Nigga got me on that weed. And it's just the good times, man, of everything, man. I miss him. I miss him already.
And I definitely rest in peace. And, our biggest condolences to yourself. And obviously, all these other close family, relatives, friends, fans and stuff. Definitely going to be a huge loss, not a great way to kick off the year. We've already seen a few other passings in like hip hop and stuff last year, and then continuing on. As you said, it's a cycle of life and a part of it. And I guess the only solace that people can take is the fact that he did accomplish great work. And as you said, he done his work while he was here, and it wasn't something crazy like violence or anything like that. It was just his time that came, unfortunately, at this time. And he definitely gonna leave behind one hell of a legacy.
Yeah, man. 21 gun salute to my homeboy Laylaw, man. Rest in player pieces, for real. Rest in peace, Laylaw. Rest in peace, my dude. For real though, we got you. It ain't over. We about to push the line for you, homie. Rest in peace, my dude.
Join us on the line, bout.online.com, for the hottest UK US flavor. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be updated on new drops and content.